Hello and welcome back to the game room for the start of this 2022 wrap-up, and we're going to kick it off with games I played in 2022. Yeah, so 2022 was a really interesting year for this game room. This game room started during COVID and was kind of just like this empty space, a blank slate to build a game room in. And I put this one together and sort of sat on it for 2 years before ever kind of venturing into YouTube. And so 2022 marked the start of this channel, and I've only been going for about 4 or 5 months now, and I'm pretty excited. For those of you who are joining along for the ride, thanks so much for being along with me. It's been a really cool year. It's been really busy. Trying to play video games while running a YouTube channel is not the easiest thing. Creating content and actually getting a chance to sit and play games, it's a really tough juggling act. So basically what that means is some of these games I had the time to sit and beat all the way through to completion. Some I played and kind of got to the point where it was, alright, I've got enough of this game to get a really great taste of it, and put out some really great reviews, so those are also part of this channel. If you want to see some of the reviews of these games in complete, I'll absolutely mention which ones I did full reviews on as we go along through them. Alright, game number 1 on my list for 2022 was 2021's Game of the Year, It Takes Two. This was an absolutely phenomenal couch co-op experience, and it's 2-player co-op only. Now you can play online with someone else, but really sitting on the couch with a friend and playing this in person, that was an experience that I was really searching for in 2022. My wife and I spent a ton of time down here in the game room, and most of the time when it came to playing games like this, she was the one dragging me down here to play games. It Takes Two was just a really phenomenal experience. I can understand how some people might be deterred by the storyline, being about a husband and wife sort of trying to repair their marriage. Once you get past that point, even if you're playing this with a buddy, if it's not your partner, it doesn't matter. This one is absolutely worth it. Every chapter is different abilities, different weapon sets, and the way that those abilities and weapons work together, there are parts of chapters that are impossible to get through without working together, and having a game designed around that element was such a cool experience, and obviously a deserved winner for the Game of the Year for 2021. And we finished this one, we got all the way through it and rolled credits, and we're looking already to play it again. Really fantastic game and totally worth your time. Game number 2 for 2022 is A Way Out. This is also a co-op only experience, and a really fun one, pretty short game to beat, and really fun to play with a friend. I sort of pulled my wife through this one. She wasn't as into the like real world gritty 2 dudes breaking out of prison element, but it was a really cool experience. There's some really neat cinematic moments where you'll actually swap back and forth between what's happening between each character instead of just being stuck to the same screen at the same time. A Way Out's a really cool and fun co-op only experience, and I was really into these in the early part of 2022, so definitely worth your time. It's a short play, it's not expensive to buy. A Way Out, great game, definitely check it out. Game number 3 for 2022, another co-op experience, was Unravel 2. This was a really unique game. I hadn't played anything like it. I think probably some of the most memorable things were the soundtrack, first of all, just kind of really haunting and beautiful. The world is just graphically beautiful. You're 2 yarn dudes stuck together by a string of yarn, and all of the platforming elements are centered around that mechanic of being tied together physically. So there's no Mario and Luigi, one guy running ahead and the other guy being left behind. You are literally stuck together, and the platforming elements that happen through those mechanics of being tied together are really interesting. Something that I haven't seen in any other game. Definitely a unique play. We ran this game all the way through and beat it. A really cool experience and totally worth checking out. Awesome playthrough, worth beating for sure. Game number 4 for 2022, was Overcooked 2. This is again another instance of me starting with the second iteration of a game before playing the first. Definitely didn't regret doing that. I have since picked up the first Overcooked game. Haven't played through that one yet, but Overcooked 2 was a really cool experience that you can play solo or with a group of friends. I think it's up to 4 players for this one. Really, really fun kitchen chaos. It's a cooking simulator, and, you know, getting into this one, I was a little bit on the fence about how much I wanted to do, like, simulator games, like Farming Simulator and, you know, Taxi Driver Simulator, Goat Simulator, whatever. These kind of simulation games, I don't really want to sit around and flip burgers. Listen, scratch all of that. This game is absolute chaos. It goes from being a traditional kitchen space where people are working together to prep things as simple as pizza and burgers, to trying to work on a kitchen that the parts float around on the top of a volcano. It gets absolutely chaotic, and we'd finish levels and replay them right away to try to get the 3-star finish. Like, this one was fantastic. We were constantly obsessed with fine-tuning the amount of food we could get out to our patrons, and master each level and each scenario as much as we could before moving on to the next. Really, really fantastic game. Beat this one too. Overcooked 2. Definitely check this one out. Game number 5 for 2022 is Ori and the Blind Forest. This game is sort of not unlike Unravel 2 in the sense that it's beautiful and haunting. The music is fantastic. I mean, what a soundtrack on this one. Graphically, it really just pulls you in. It's a platformer at its core and a single-player one. I think the reason why we didn't finish this game is because I started it off with my wife passing the controller back and forth and playing different sections. That got a little discouraging when the platforming sections probably just got a little too hard for her, and so she'd defer the controller back to me to beat it. That can be a little not so rewarding, I guess, after a certain period of time, but man, what a really great game. I'm definitely going to go back to it alone and finish it. Really, really fantastic game. Great platforming and a beautiful game. Worth checking out. I will be back to finish this one for sure. Okay, game number 6 of 2022 is Little Dragon's Cafe. This one just didn't hit the mark. It tried to do so many things. You play as a brother and sister team who are running a cafe while their mother's not feeling well. You befriend this little dragon who grows up through the course of the game, and you work together to do this cooking simulator that's also a rhythm game. It has Animal Crossing elements where you're collecting ingredients to bring back to the cafe. It plays in a day-to-night cycle as well, and the story is just so drawn out. Different characters visit the cafe and stay with you for short periods of time, as there's also kind of a bed and breakfast element. Those character segments drag on for way too long, and it's just really strangely written. This just didn't hit the mark. It tried to do so many things, some really well and just some so poorly. I think I drugged myself through 12 hours and just couldn't finish it. Little Dragon's Cafe was cool. I think if you're into Animal Crossing type games, it's worth checking out. For me, it was just, I'm not going back to this one. Game number 7 for 2022 is Nightmare Creatures. Yeah, I finally got around to playing something a little more retro. I have a real soft spot for the N64, and Nightmare Creatures was my attempt to find a really creepy game to play for Halloween. This one hit the mark, you know. Nightmare Creatures was really good. It did a lot of things really well. It was creepy. Graphically, it was actually not that bad for an N64 game, and it was cool to get back out holding that weird 3-prong controller that I'm just so nostalgic for. I didn't finish it because it was really hard, and I put 12 to 14 hours into it, and that was what I thought the game would take to beat. I kept having to crank down the difficulty level and go through player guides. Everything carries over from chapter to chapter, so if you sprint through a chapter and get to the next one, you've basically got no supplies, but trying to grind your way through and collect items gets you totally beaten up. Creepy monsters, really neat vibe. The soundtrack really rocked, had some neat metal elements. Every time you'd face a boss, it would completely shift from this eerie, creepy vibe to like total metal, and it was a great game, really cool. Definitely kind of a weird hidden gem that I'd never heard of on the N64. Absolutely worth playing, maybe not finishing though. Alright, and the very final game, and 8th game that I played in 2022 was Noire. I opted to play the Xbox One version, and this is a game that I had played probably 10 years ago on the Xbox 360, and I kind of thought, you know, this is a Rockstar game, it's probably going to be a lot like Grand Theft Auto. It was in a lot of ways, and it wasn't in a lot of ways. It's Grand Theft Auto if you want to be a law-abiding citizen who's a police officer and does detective work. You're checking out everything from crime scenes to going to detective work and interrogating suspects and all-out gunfights. This one's a lot of fun. I rolled credits on it. I finished it. There's an upcoming 3-day rental for this one. It'll probably be one of my first videos of 2023. Really enjoyed this experience. I think one of the things that I liked the most were the driving elements. You're driving these old, like, 1950s cars that just have this really loose suspension that rocks around, and as much as that might sound terrible, it hits the mark for me. The soundtrack was fantastic. Really great game, worth playing. Yeah, there's some janky elements in the interviews and stuff, but still really good, and a really great way to cap off 2022. But wait, there's more? I played Void Bastards in 2022, and for some reason forgot it in this recap, even though it's really 100% worth your time. It's a really cool roguelite strategy game, first-person shooter, cel-shaded. It's got all kinds of awesome stuff going for it. I beat this game all the way to the credits, and I did a full 3-day rental video review for it, so if you want to check that out, links to any of my 3-day rental video game review shows are all in the description. Check them out, super cool. Void Bastards. Alright, and that's a wrap on games I played in 2022. Busy year trying to juggle starting a YouTube channel and play video games at the same time, but I think I got through a pretty decent chunk of games. I think my resolution for 2023 is to play a little more retro. I'd love to be recording handheld games to do some reviews on those. And, you know, I'm really excited to know what you played. So if you didn't already, comment down below. Let me know what you checked out in 2022. Let me know what you're excited for 2023. What did I miss? Put it in the comments. I'll definitely take some suggestions if you've got games you want me to play next year. Put them down below. Thanks for stopping by in the game room and checking out my Games of 2022 wrap-up. I'm excited for the next. It's going to be a game room tour, first of its kind for my channel, so stick around for that coming up next. Thanks again, and see you on the next one.